Hello, I'm Eric Moore with the Testing Intent interview from the English Language Testing Society. My guest today is Evince Ahouandjinou from Cotonou, Benin, the Freedom Language Center. Welcome, Evince.
Thank you, Eric. It's a pleasure to meet with you today and discuss with you on behalf of Freedom Language Center and the ILT Society. My name is Evince Ahouandjinou. I am the founder and the managing director of Freedom Language Center, freelance. Freedom Language Center is a language school that has been created in 2014. So we've been we've been in operation for more than 7 years now.
Oh, great, good. Okay, thanks again for being with me. Now, my first question for you, what is the foreign language learning environment like in Benin?
Foreign language learning environment is a growing environment. More and more people want to learn foreign languages. And if you have to rank the foreign languages that people want to learn in Benin, so the number one is English. Now number two is Chinese. Then we have German and Spanish. English is ranked as the top foreign language thanks to business and studying. We have as neighbor country Nigeria, which is an English speaking country, and when it comes to business, is Benin. One of the first place people go to from Benin is Nigeria, where they go and buy and sell goods, and they come back to Benin. Then also people now they travel to Dubai or China still for business. And over there, as they cannot speak Arabic or Chinese, they need to speak English. That's why English is the number one for those who are in the field of business. The second reason why people want to learn English is that they want to study abroad, mostly in the USA. As USA is an English-speaking country too, they have to learn English before leaving Benin. They have to take the TOEFL test or IELTS or any other test, just like ITEP Academic Plus 2 now. That is a very good test that people want to take in Benin.
Great. Okay. What effects do you think the regional, tribal, and former colonial languages have had on the study and assessment of English?
Yeah. When it comes to studying and assessment of English, regional, tribal, and the colonial language are kind of a barrier for people when they want to study English. First of all, we have our local languages. I mean, the Benin languages, for instance, in Benin. Then we have been then settled by France. So our official language is French. But when people want to speak, they first think either in the local language or in French for those who did not learn the local languages. When we take, for instance, people who first learn local languages before learning French and then wants to learn English, it is very difficult for them to learn English easily, as they first think in the local language, then they translate it into French, and then they want to translate it into English. As people who wants to learn English, when people go to university or they attend language school, just like our language school, for instance, where they learn on the basis of French. So they need to be French speakers because, before they want to learn English. So they have to think in their local language, translate it into French, and then want to translate from French to English. Can you see what I mean? So it takes time. It is a barrier. And we also have a problem of phonetics. French phonetics is not the same as English phonetics. So we then have the problem of pronunciation of our learners. when our learners wants to speak English and we have them pronounce we want to make them pronounce correctly, they might want to pronounce the word as if they were speaking French.
Mhm.
But sometimes what we also notice is that it happens that we have particular programs for people who did not attend school. If you did not attend school in Benin, for instance, it means that you did not learn French. If you attend school, it means that you attend school and you have learned French. Those who did not attend school and do not speak French, when we want to teach them English and we go from the local language to English, it is easier for them to learn than those who have been to school and they first want to translate from the local language to French before they get to English. So that takes time.
Oh, that's very interesting. Yeah. So it might actually be helpful in this case with English not to have learned French in this case. Oh, very interesting. What are the main local languages in Benin?
The main ones are Fon and Gun. But they are very similar. Fon and Gun are very similar. There is another one which is Yoruba, which is also spoken in Nigeria. It is mainly
Yes.
spoken in Nigeria. Then we have other local languages in the north of the country, which are Dendi, Bariba, and so on and so forth.
Oh, wow. Okay, great. Um, how has language testing been affected by the COVID-19 pandemic in Benin and in Africa?
Okay, I will first start from Benin as I am in Benin now. It is when we were under confinement that exam centers had to close. Otherwise, we just had to adapt to the pandemic by giving more security distance to the candidates. As in Freedom Language Center, we also have an exam center which is named SMART. So instead of welcoming, for instance, 10 candidates in one session, we may welcome the half of them.
Mhm. Sure. Okay.
Now, that is the case of Benin. As for what I know that there are candidates who come from Togo, our neighbor country too, to come and take the test in Benin. Togo is next to Benin, and Togo is between Benin and Ghana. Mostly Togolese, when they want to take English tests, they go to Ghana. But due to COVID-19, Ghana had closed its borders. So they could not travel to Ghana anymore, but it was easier for them to come to Benin. So what I can tell you is that in traveling or taking exam in Ghana during the pandemic was almost impossible. But in Benin, for instance, it was possible unless when the government asked every school to close. So during that period, no one could take any test.
Oh, right. And that can be very, very bad for business, of course, right? And
Yeah.
I think we've everyone in the industry has had some definite pain in the last year and a half, and hopefully not for a whole lot longer. Let me ask you, what should language teaching and testing educators know about African students or Beninese students, or African students who go to study abroad? What would be good for us to know about them?
Yeah, that's a good question. As you know, there is first a difference of culture. American culture is not the same as African culture, especially Beninese culture. One example that I can just give you, in English, as for what I teach my students, when you are with English native speakers, while speaking, you have to keep eye contact. Yeah, you have to keep eye contact. But in Africa, if you are speaking with someone who is older than you, your teacher, for instance, and you keep eye contact, you are considered very impolite.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So that is something very important. But we tell our students here, when you get to the USA and you are speaking to people, you have to keep eye contact. as it shows that you are truthful, you are frank while speaking. But when you are with your parents here, when you are still in Benin, even if you go to the USA, you come back to Benin and you are in front of your parents while speaking to them, you need to remember that you have to remember that you are from Benin and your cultures advise you not to look at older people in the eyes while you're speaking with them. Yeah.
That can be very tricky for a student going to a new country and trying to remember what you're saying, and then also with something like eye contact
Yeah.
right. Oh, sure.
That's one thing. And something else is students from Benin or Africa, while learning English, as I told you, the impact or the effect of local or colonial languages on English learning is the pronunciation. Sometimes while speaking, if American teachers, for instance, wants to make some African students speak English like an American with the American pronunciation, that may be very difficult. As even in Africa, you take French-speaking countries, when when people from Cameroon are speaking French, the accent is different. When people from Cote d'Ivoire are speaking French, the accent is different. When it is someone from Senegal, it is different. So it happens that when we are speaking, even while speaking French, we have the possibility to distinguish where people are from. If they are from Senegal, Cote d'Ivoire, Congo, or Rwanda sometimes, so it is possible for us to know it. So when they want to learn English and they want to speak English, that accent also comes back. The native accent or the French accent comes back to the English learning and the pronunciation. But as we know, pronunciation is very important. And when you do not pronounce correctly, your listeners may not understand what you are saying sometimes.
Sure, yeah. All right. Well, my last question for you. What are your thoughts on the future of language testing and learning in Africa in general and Benin in particular?
Yeah, now as a manager of language school and an exam center, I can tell you that in Africa, most of the countries now, they require the students before they complete their university degrees to take some international English test. Most of the countries, most universities now, they require students take the TOEIC test, for instance. But there are other exams which are available in the continent now, such as 𝗙𝗢𝗪 and its different exams. So people, for instance, before completing a master's degree, they may be required to take the TOEIC test with a B2 level. In the meantime, there are other countries, just like Benin, for instance. In Benin, people are not required to take a test to show their ability to show their ability of speaking English or to prove a level in English. Instead, our national university, they require the students to register in some particular centers and they just bring a proof, I mean, a certificate of registration. That is what they go to the university with now. Certificate of registration in a certain language school. That is not efficient to make sure that a student really has a level in English in order to study, a level that will permit him or her that once they get the degree and they enter a company, they can work in an English-speaking environment. So normally, what some other countries are doing in the continent should be what we have to do in my country, Benin. When it comes to English assessment, we need people to take tests, not to just go and say, I register in a school. You know, many people go to school, many people attend school, but It is not because someone has been in school that the person is knowledgeable. People can go to school, but they don't learn. They can go to school and fail. That's why exams exist. And people go to school, they take exam to complete the curriculum and get a certificate. It should be the same thing that has to be done in every single African country where they want to assess people, no, not where they want to assess, but where they want to train people. If you train, you need to make sure that what you teach the student, he or she has got it.
Oh, I'm in full agreement with you. That sounds like a good plan, because I suppose somebody could register and not even take classes, but show.
Yeah. That's what happens actually, and it also happens that maybe there are just few centers that who has the agreement or who are allowed to train the students of master degree who wants to take the master courses in the national university, but there are thousands, and all those students, they do not have seats. It happens in certain centers, they do not have seats. And if you want to do a good job when it comes to training people in a language, when the class size is too big, that is not effective. If you want to do an effective job, the class size should not be big. They should maybe let every center that exists train students, as there are also thousands of schools in our country. All those schools, they train students, but there are national exams for students to complete the secondary school. For instance, when students attend secondary school, at the end, they take the high school diploma. They can either fail or succeed. It's okay. It should be the same thing when it comes to languages. People should go and get their training, whatever they want. But at the end, they are going to take an exam. The government can maybe decide to use a particular test or some particular test to assess students, and require that they have a certain level in English before they can register in the national university or any other private university. Today we are talking about globalization. When it comes to globalization, every single country where you go, when people are not able to speak the language of that country, at least they speak English. So every country should train its citizens in English at least. If they don't want to train them in many other languages, they should at least train them in English. And when they train them in English, they have to make sure that they have a level in English. They have to make sure that they can speak the language. A language is something that should be spoken. A language is not of writing. It is not of maybe just reading. No, reading and writing are important when you are talking about the four skills of learning a language. But the most important is the listening and the speaking of a language. Yeah. So people should be trained for speaking and then take a test.
Oh, great. Well, sounds like you have good plans. That's great. Well,
yeah, and also when we talk about that, something that I like with iTalk, for instance, is iTalk Conversation. It is a test just to assess the learner or the candidate in his or her ability of speaking and listening.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, great. Well, Evince, I guess that's all the time we have. It's been a great pleasure talking with you. Evince Ahouandjinou from Cotonou, Benin, the Freedom Language Center. Thank you for your time, and I look forward to speaking with you sometime again.
You're welcome. Looking forward to speaking with you too.